You are standing in a workshop that feels ordinary until you notice how many ways it can hurt you without trying, without warning, just by existing. The Albert Einstein idea I keep in my pocket is simple. Make it as simple as possible, but not simpler. Because the moment you oversimplify safety, reality collects interest. I am the donkey professor today, and I want you to feel one uncomfortable truth in your bones. Workplace safety is not a trait. It is not a personality. It is not a vibe. Safety is a high-stakes synergy between a fallible human mind and a physical environment that never gets tired of being dangerous. Now imagine the new worker, smart, motivated, trying to impress, scanning for the right pace to match the crew. They think the job is about speed and skill. But the job is also about the moments your attention slips, your hands move on habit, and your brain silently edits out risk because it wants the task to feel normal. That is where risk perception lives. Not in the rulebook, but in the split second when you see the hazard early and you believe it matters enough to interrupt your own motion. A sharp mind can stop an accident sequence before it reaches the point of no return. But a sharp mind is still a human mind, and humans are not built for perfect vigilance. So let us talk about cognitive attention, the mental discipline to stay locked onto the hazard even when the environment is throwing distractions like sparks. When attention degrades, human error does not announce itself. It arrives quietly as a missed step, a hand that drifts, a shortcut that feels harmless because nothing bad happened last time. And then comes compliance, the part nobody wants to romanticize, but it is the backbone of predictable survival. Compliance is the deliberate choice to align your actions with policy and safety, even when your ego says you can handle it, even when the clock says hurry, even when the crew culture says do not be difficult. Here is the paradox. The better you get at a task, the more tempting it is to stop thinking about it. Competence can become a sedative. And the hazard does not care that you have done it 1,000 times. It only cares about physics, energy, pressure, gravity, sharp edges, rotating parts, and human skin. Now shift your eyes away from the worker and look at the environment. The physical safety net that exists even if your mind is having a bad day. Environmental controls are policy and safety made solid, engineered barriers, layouts, guards, interlocks, signage, isolation points, things that do not rely on motivation, mood, or memory. Passive protections are the always-on guardians. Fixed guardrails, machine guarding, sound dampening walls, physical separation that quietly prevents contact with danger. They do not ask you to remember a step. They simply stand there like a silent coworker whose only job is to block the worst outcome. Active safeguards are different. They require a trigger or interaction like emergency stop buttons, light curtains, sensors, interlocks that cut power when boundaries are breached. Active systems can save you, but they can also be bypassed, ignored, obstructed, or slowly normalized into background noise if nobody tests them like they matter. And here is the 3-step sequence that separates grown-up safety from wishful thinking: hazard identification, implementation of barriers, and critical monitoring. Most teams can identify hazards, many can install controls, but monitoring is where the system decays, because decay is boring, and boredom is the enemy of control integrity. Hazard identification is not a checklist for the office. It is the discipline of pinpointing the exact intersection where people and energy meet at risk. Where does the hand go? Where does the body lean? Where does the line of fire exist? Where does gravity have a clean path to punish you for one careless second? Implementation of barriers is choosing the right control for the right hazard, not just any control that looks good in a report. A barrier must isolate the hazard, survive real use, and resist the human tendency to remove friction. Because if the control makes the job annoying, someone will try to delete it, politely or secretly. Critical monitoring is the heartbeat. Auditing that the guard is still there, the sensor still works, the e-stop still trips, the access is not blocked, the procedure still matches the job as it is actually done today. The terms of work change, tools change, schedules change, crews change. and yesterday's control can become today's illusion. Now listen closely. No person can maintain 100% focus 100% of the time. Environmental controls exist to catch you when attention lapses. And behavioral awareness exists to make sure you respect the controls, maintain them, and do not play games with them when nobody is watching. This is why relying on only one layer creates a single point of failure. If you rely on perfect alertness, fatigue will eventually win. If you rely on perfect guarding, human creativity will eventually bypass it. Because humans are problem solvers, and sometimes they solve the problem of safety itself by removing it. So the real lesson is overlap. A multi-layered defense where behavior and environment are designed to cover each other's weaknesses. When one layer is compromised, the other holds the line. Not as a slogan, but as a design principle that assumes human frailty and builds resilience anyway. Here is your field-ready awareness checklist. And I want you to run it like a ritual, not like paperwork. Verify passive protections are unobstructed and intact. Test active safeguards as if your life is attached to the result. Audit your compliance against policy and safety. And assess your mental readiness. Because distraction is not a moral failure, it is a condition that must be managed. Because safety is a deliberate choice, supported by a system that refuses to let you fail. And if you remember only one thing from the Donkey Professor, remember this. The hazard does not need you to be careless every day. It only needs you to be careless once. So build your behavior and build your environment like you plan to be